All right, welcome back, everyone. Our next guests on the plaza are here to talk about the Newcastle County Community Service Unit Program, so the upcoming coat drive. So welcome Master Corporal William DeJesus and Sergeant Tracy Duffy, as well as Gerald Tatum. Welcome, welcome, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
It's a great pleasure to be here.
Yes, all right, so before we dive into all this information that we need to talk about, especially the coat drive, I would love to give our audience an opportunity to hear a little bit about who you are. So, Corporal, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Master Corporal William DeJesus, a member of the Newcastle County Community Services Unit. I've been a police officer for 15 years.
Okay.
Started my career in the patrol division. Found my passion in community engagement, so decided to transfer or transition into Community Services Unit.
Excellent. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
All right. Sergeant Tracy Duffy, please.
Again, Sergeant Tracy Duffy. I am an 18-year veteran of the police department. I am currently one of our public information officers, which is a spokesperson for the Division of Police.
Okay.
And like DeJesus, I have been on patrol. I've done our professional development unit, which is like our HR division. I was a PIO before. I've done foot patrol. So I've done a little bit of everything.
All right. Again, and thank you for your service. And Gerald, please.
Thank you. Again, Gerald Tatum. I retired after 20 years of service with the police department. Before that, I was 10 years working in North Philly with the Department of Public Welfare. So, done many different things with the police department, patrol, community services, also in professional development, but always had a passion for community work, and now with Project Seed as a community liaison. So glad to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for representing the Newcastle County Police Department. So with the department, can you guys tell us a little bit more in depth about the Community Services Unit?
Would you like to take this one?
It doesn't matter. So really, that's what we are, that's kind of our foundation. People know us. They know Newcastle County Division of Police as being community service oriented. It's in our 100+ year history that we started with a Christmas drive, like food drive, over 100 years ago. So it's in our service. It's buried in who we are as a division of police. All of our programs represent, just the communities that we serve. We try to really ensure that we help everyone in any way that we can. We provide some of the most basic services with fixing their lights, or the coat and can drive, book bag giveaways. We have a gamut of things that our community service unit performs.
So you, I guess you would say, orchestrate community service projects throughout the entire year.
Yes, we do.
Okay, not just
Not
for
just
the
the
month of
holidays.
December,
No.
so throughout the entire year. And I'm a huge advocate for promoting community service and giving back to the community, as well as Kaylin.
Yes.
We've known each other for a long time, but we are firm believers in volunteering and giving back, because it's very, very important to help others, because in return they help you in other ways.
Absolutely.
So would you like to share a little bit more about that coat drive? Let's dive into that, because I know it's coming up.
Yes.
And let's get all the details out, and
Sure.
then we'll work from there.
So that's going to be the 10th annual Cannon Coat Drive. It's going to be December 10th,
Okay. There's
Saturday.
a lot of events happening
Saturday.
December 10th.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
From 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Okay.
at the Route 9 Library.
Route 9 Library.
That's
okay.
located at 3022 Newcastle Avenue, right across from Brolarama.
Okay, and tell our viewers a little bit more in detail of what you're accepting and the type of, I guess you would say, donations you are accepting and can accept.
So currently, there is a donation box at every one of our county libraries, to include our government center, located on
Reed's Way.
Reed's Way.
Reed's Way.
Thank you. Always there for the assist. And we're looking for any new or gently worn coats.
Okay.
We have been able to, through multitude of contributions, been able to make some purchases for new coats, but we are not done collecting. We're trying to put as many coats on backs as possible.
Okay, there you go. So new or gently used coats, very, very important. So if they're gently used, that's still okay. That was what I think the most important piece of detail that I felt was really important. So some drives, like coat drives, or shoe drives, they're very specific on what they're looking for, or even book drives. And I always want to make sure we get those details out there, because I'm sure there are families that have coats in their closet that they don't use anymore, that maybe were worn once.
Yes,
So no excuses. Donate. That's perfect. To get a way to give back. And the fact that you have donation locations and boxes at all of the libraries, the public libraries, throughout the state, or just Newcastle County?
Newcastle County.
Perfect.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Newcastle County. All right, Gerald, I'm going to go to you. I know that you are kind of a big deal from what Corporal De Jesus has shared with us, and we need to touch on that. So you're the project coordinator for, the project coordinator, right, for Project Seed, if I'm correct.
Yes.
And let's touch on that, and what is Project Seed?
So, first of all, De Jesus, he was my, when I first became a supervisor on the police department, he was one of the first young men that I started working with. So he, some things he says aren't actual. Forgive him.
We have a long history.
Okay.
He's being very humble.
Very
Being
long
very
history.
humble.
Project Seed. C stands for Sustained Empowerment, Enhancement, and Development. So prior to leaving the department, I don't know, a couple months before, a few of us kind of got together. We were thinking of ways to affect change in communities and help. So we wanted something that was sustained, something that would be transferable. So when we got together, we came up with Seed. And out of that, we recognized that communities are diverse and they're unique. They have their own unique set of challenges. So with that, one of the things that we really pride ourselves in doing is when we go into these communities, we're not just going into the community saying, hey, we know you need A, B, and C, when actuality they need D, E, and F.
Right.
So we work with the communities to come up with plans and facilitate and help hopefully sustain change and improvement, and just a mindset of just doing well and having fun while we're doing those things. So one of the things or a couple of things that we've done is we've had a Rising Suns event this summer.
Okay.
We've also had a men's conference where we focused on mental health, self-improvement, and those things. That was in November 19th. We're also having our women's conference, which is going to be held at the Route 9 Library on January 28th, and that's from 9 to 1. So we've been able to do a lot of different things. It's not just myself. Also work with the two other full-time members of Project Seed, are George Corbin, Adriana Ochoa, and then we also have some, I don't want to say part-time members, they're almost double-time members because they have full-time jobs and they also are able to help with Project Seed. They include Dr. Perry, she's at the Office of Law with Castle County, Joe Day with Code Enforcement, Portia Lopez, who works in our finance. We're all led by Director Bond, who's Director of Public Safety.
Okay.
We've already talked about community services, but Corporal De Jesus, Corporal Pierce, Gelati and Nico. If you know anything about Newcastle County, you know Nico. So
We'll have to
they've
bring him
helped.
on.
Oh, absolutely.
Great idea.
Corporal Hester, Corporal Allen, they're all led by Sergeant Selhorst, and really all of community services. And when I talk about SEED, it's not just about the police departments, all of public safety. So we've worked with emergency management, communications. Corporal Hill and Sergeant Short brought out their entire paramedic academy and helped us with one of our cleanups in the community of Oakmont. So again,
It truly takes a village.
Yes,
Sure does.
absolutely.
It does.
You mentioned so many, I'm sure, influential people that are a huge part of Project Seed and Newcastle County, obviously the police department, that all come together to promote community service and make this all happen. And I'm glad you mentioned their names. That's important. We highlight those who are giving back to the community, not only protecting, but also giving back. So I'm really, really happy that you did do that.
I want to ask, because you mentioned, of course, we're here to talk about the coat drive. You mentioned the women's conference, the men's conference, all the things that you all are doing in the community. But I want to hear from you all individually. Why do you think it is so important that the unit as a whole really pours back into the community? I want to hear from all of you and your thoughts on why that's so important. Whoever wants to go.
You start. I'll finish.
For me, it probably, and not to, my father, he was a social worker. My mother, she was a school nurse. I was brought up to serve and to be in service. So, to be honest, I don't know any other way.
That's
It's
beautiful.
extremely rewarding when you're able to help others.
Yes, it is.
And kind of like I alluded to earlier, to help others in a way that it's not just you telling somebody what they want, but you're helping them to get to where they want together.
I love
Yep.
that.
So
Yep.
that whole togetherness, and again, it's just me. Like,
Yeah.
that's who I am.
Right.
That's the way I was
It's in your
raised.
DNA.
So
Yeah.
thank you.
I love
Yes.
I think if you look at it, the most basic form of helping the community. So we help the community, the community will help us
Yes.
in return. It's that most basic form of give and take. But for me personally, it's to protect and to serve. I mean, we are here to serve our community. And again, it's very basic, but I feel like that's probably very important part of our job. Like
Very
I
important
think
part.
that's very important. So.
Corporal.
Absolutely. And just throughout my years in policing, I found that developing relationships, genuine, fruitful relationships that have longevity are so meaningful.
Yes.
And they provide the most of an outcome, okay? Whether it's communication, whether it's, related to an investigation, not related to an investigation, doesn't matter. Just building that communication, bridging that gap is so important. And I found value in that. And I think that we do a good job at developing plans and programs to really engage, to really have these wholesome conversations, to develop that rapport. And I think that's my takeaways, bridging the gap. And, I think growing up myself, I didn't see there being that much of a disparity. But then when I became a police officer, I started to notice different things
Yes.
throughout my venture. And I realized that something had to change,
Yes.
okay? And that's where I come in. This is ground zero for everything else that we do as people, as police officers, as community members. And I think that pulling away the layers, past the uniform, people start to realize that we are the same, okay? We're all part of the same ecosystem, trying to work together and develop this world.
Right.
Corporal, thank you so much for touching on that. That honestly means a lot to know that you guys recognize that and understand that. That means a lot, and I'm sure that means a lot to a lot of our viewers.
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
want to thank you all so much for joining us
Thank
this
you.
morning. Again, the coat drive is
Gerald,
No,
please.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Only because you said we could interrupt.
Interrupt. Go for it.
I wanted to make sure that when you talked about recognizing people and saying people's names, we have two people that were founding members of Project C, who are
Okay.
Dan Moss and Corporal Angel Alejandro, who have moved on to bigger and better things, but they were there at the beginning when we formed this thing and we were, trying to come up with things. So wanted to make sure that we
It's
got
important to
that out.
shout them out and give them.
You're like, I can't forget everyone.
Yes,
Well,
recognize
we
them. Thank you.
appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedules to be
you.
with us this
Yes.
morning to get that message out and make sure we let everyone know about the coat drive and also other events that you do throughout the year. Again, Corporal De Jesus, Sergeant Duffy, and Gerald, thank you
Thank
for
you
your
so much for joining
service.
us.
Thank you.
And thank you for your continued efforts in giving back to our community.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What's up, everyone? It's your main man, Big Ob, the talk of the town, Mr. DETVCH.com, and I'm here with my wonderful and amazing co-host.
Vincenza.
We just stopped by to tell you to be sure, if you want any information on what's going on in Wilmington and to meet some dynamic people doing some amazing and great things, be sure to watch us live on Good Morning Wilmington on Mondays and Wednesdays at 10 p.m.,
Oh, Ivan, 10 a.m.
which he said, 10 a.m.
Listen to me. That's why he has me here. But yes, tune in live, 10 a.m. Monday and Wednesday on Good Morning Wilmington.
DETVCH.com.